So here at Road America, we've got some time with Chris Ulrich to go through the 09 GSX-R1000 with some changes, and we'll start with the rear suspension based on some problems you were having.
Yeah, I was having, at Infineon in particular, I was having a very big problem with pump. Actually, Barber also. And what the cause was, you know, the shock would compress, it'd go into the progressive part of the linkage, and you know, ramp up and then feed it all in, and the back would start pumping. And it was a pretty big problem. Like in race one at Infineon, once we got everything kind of sorted, I still had a big pump issue, and that's kind of what caused I lost a lot of time to the guys I was racing with, because as the race progressed and grip decreased, the bike got way more unruly. And so from what I was understanding, you know, what the Yosh guys had was a flatter link that's not as progressive. And you know, going back, I mean, the reason why there's a progressive link on a Suzuki GSX-R1000 is because in the real world, when you buy this machine, you have your regular seat, and then you have your passenger seat up here, and then, you know, say if you have a passenger, and maybe she's heavy, maybe she's not, depends on your flavor. You got to have some sort of support, or else the thing's going to sit there sacked out, and you know, you're sitting around like this going around down the street, so that's going to be a problem. So that's a stock thing. You know, if it was more like super stock where you couldn't change the link and all that, it'd be fine, because everyone else would have the problem. We'd just fix it. You know, we'd adjust the bike around that. But now, you know, with the new Superbike rules, we can throw parts at it, and so you know, I knew the Yoshimura guys had one. I also knew that Gemini had one, and so I got a Yosh link, their newest one, and we put it on today, the first time. And this is actually the first time I've ever messed with links and ever had to even deal with it, because I've always been a super stock or super sport guy. And it eliminated the problem I was having. It mellowed the rear of the bike out under heavy acceleration, and it really helped quite a bit and calm it down. Which, you know, we had to run a super heavy spring on the back to keep it out of that progressive part of the stroke. What we found today was immediately we could go to a softer rear spring, increase grip, increase drive. It was much, much better.
What did you have in there? An 11 or 12, and maybe down to a 1?
Probably a 1 or a 9.5. I think that's where we're going to end up. So we had an 11 in there, and that was big. And even in the front, we had 1.75. We went softer here too. It's definitely one of those things where I'm sitting there watching those guys go away, and I've had guys coming to me after the race like, "How was that bike to hold on to?" It's like, yeah, it sucked, you know. And now we got the part. It's like, okay, I understand, you know, which is a new thing. So it's definitely been a learning process of developing a bike again. But you know, we haven't even really scratched the surface for triple clamps and all that other stuff. The first thing we needed to fix was the link.
Did you change the shock length based on the change in the linkage, and did you revalve it?
Nothing. We bolted it in, and once we got through the initial part, we decided, okay, we need a softer spring. But as far as anything else, we didn't change the length, we didn't change the valving. We're not anticipating changing anything besides that spring rate. And I think the spring rate was more something that suits this track better than anything else.
Well, it allows you to go back deeper in the stroke where before you could not go.
Yes. So we got more travel, and we got a, you know, softer spring, so we have more drive grip, and that's more drive grip's always better.
But at least then you can get off the corner with confidence instead of managing the throttle, managing the bike's problem.
Yeah, that was more so the problem, the initial. I mean, the reason I crashed too that second day is I got into the corner a little hot, and it was waiting, you know, because I was in there hot to make up for what I was losing on the drive, and then of course I crashed the thing pretty late in the corner, which was a little weird because I was just getting ready to go back on the gas, and then it folded. And you know, I was probably pushing it for quite a ways before it actually folded under anyway. And you know, and the reason why I was going in that hard is because I was losing drive grip coming out of the previous corners, and so I was okay. I'll just run the thing in there just like them. And so that only lasts for so long before you end up on your head anyway. The K9's a lot different than the K8. You know, the power's been moved up. For me, being near 6 foot, the position from here to here is shorter, and from here to here is shorter too. So it's a little different, and it's putting a lot more. Like, I've had a bum shoulder for a while, so it's taking me now. The first 2 rounds really bothered my right shoulder. just because I'm farther forward on the bike, you know, from here to here. And so I've gotten, you know, a little different. So that's something you can't simulate unless you race this motorcycle. You know, so we don't want to mess with the ergonomics a little bit more, but the first step was, in terms of mechanical things and throwing parts at it, was get the Yoshimura link. And, you know, now, okay, we solved that problem. You know, the next step, of course, is to get triple clamps and then try pivots and, you know, cups in the steering head and all that stuff. So, you know, we just haven't had time to test it, and it's a proven thing. Like, we know that, okay, we put the link on, and the feedback I came back with to my mechanic was exactly the same as the feedback that all three of the Yosh guys gave to their guy. It calmed it down under heavy acceleration. Okay, that's what it was supposed to do. That's what it did. It's exactly what it did. So that's always reassuring when you know you're on the same path. It's as everybody else.
Now, one thing to maybe clear up for everybody out there is that the linkage is not only the dog bones themselves, but also the linkage piece that forms all of that shock linkage. It's not just dog bones.
No, it's not just dog bones. It's the whole thing. So you took, you know, just replaced it, bolted it on, and got better. You plug the thing in, it did exactly what they said it was supposed to do, and you know everything improved. So I'm a satisfied customer.
Well, really, when it's engineered like that, and that's what it's engineered for, and you bolt it on and you immediately feel comfortable getting off the corner, it's, for a rider, that's such a huge advantage instead of managing corner exit.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely, you know, confidence is the name of the game, and if you don't have confidence and you can't open the throttle, you're not going anywhere. So, you know, it's the first round, I mean, flat out at Barber was a disaster. And the thing was horrible the whole time. So, and then we got it a lot better at Infineon, and then this is like the missing thing we needed at Infineon. And now it's available to the general public, so we got them. With testing, as you know, testing, everything you do has to be in a, you can't just go, okay, I got triple clamps, I'm gonna be the man now. No, it's you have to test them, you have to sort them out, you have to find out what you like and where you need to be.
I guess people really don't realize how methodical, time-consuming, and arduous testing is when you do one piece, because it's all got to be done in isolation, and each step has to be really methodically planned out.
It's really easy with having so much adjustability, right? It's really easy for guys to get lost. Like, you know, I've heard, you know, guys that have been factory Superbike riders for a long time go, well, we got lost. It's like, yeah, you know, when you start just chucking stuff at it and throwing parts at it, you're gonna get lost, of course. And it's really easy to do because it's like, oh, I want to try this, I want to try that. You know, you get all excited, but you have to rein yourself in and go, okay, one thing at a time, and then, you know, see what it affects, which it takes a long time. And sometimes, I mean, you can't do it at track day, you know, because it's really difficult to get a quality lap in at a track day. You know, and then of course, private tests are expensive, and recent days they're very hard to come by, especially with AMA limiting testing. So the opportunities to test stuff are different. Yeah, you can go to a different track or whatever, but that's also expensive. So, you know, the difference between you show up at, say, Mid-Ohio's next week, you pay $1,500, you get in. Okay, that's a lot less than paying $17,000 to rent Barber, and then you're not allowed to rent it anyway because it's an AMA track. It's hard to make progress without testing, but then again, it's if you go and test, and you know, it's hard to do without breaking the bank too. So, and running, you know, going bankrupt. So, you know, it takes a couple days, and the more days you have, the better. But sometimes you can test yourself into oblivion.